Before you get goats, or if you already have them and things feel harder than you expected, this episode is for you. Today I'm sharing 5 things I really wish I had understood before I got goats. These are lessons that would have saved me time, money, frustration, and a few hard-earned mistakes. Let's talk about what goats are actually like, not the myths, and how to set yourself up for success from the start. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey friend, I'd love your help spreading the word about the Get Goatwise podcast. If this show has helped you, would you take a minute to leave a review? It really makes a difference, and it's easy. Just go to Get Goatwise on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to Ratings and Reviews, click on the purple words that say Write a Review, then give me some stars and tell me what you think. And as a thank you, I've got a free kidding due date chart waiting for you. Just head to getgoatwise.com/kidding-chart. It's on the honor system. You leave a review, grab your chart, and know that you're helping other goat owners find the show. Here's what's happening on the ranch this week. We spent last week getting in a lot of 4-H service hours right through Christmas Eve. In between all of that, we finally bought a tractor. After years of making do and putting a lot of wear on our other vehicles and equipment, we decided it was time to make the investment. Stacy had been watching the classifieds for a couple of months and found one that fits our needs and our budget, and we bought it. So far, it's already made a big difference in feeding. We can move a lot slower than we could with the pickup, and the goats are respecting the space around the tractor and hay trailer much better than they did when we were using the truck, which has been a huge relief. We did lose one kid earlier this year after being run over, so this has taken a lot of stress out of feeding. We also have snow now, and we'll probably start feeding outside the night trap soon. Honestly, we've all been sick, so we're just doing the necessary things right now, and once we feel better, we'll get back to the land improvement projects. Sometimes you just have to rest. Today I'm sharing 5 things I really wish I had understood before I got goats. These are the kinds of lessons that would have saved me time, money, frustration, and a few hard-earned mistakes. If you're in the planning stage, or even if you already have goats, I think this will help you step back and evaluate what you're doing and why. Let's jump right in. Number 1 is probably the most important. Goats are not sheep. The first thing I wish I had really understood is that goats are not sheep. And that sounds obvious, but in practice, a lot of people, myself included early on, manage goats like they're small sheep. Even my animal science education didn't help much with this one. Goats were usually lumped in with sheep more like an inconvenient side note. Other than pointing out that goats need copper and sheep don't, I don't remember goats ever getting much focus or attention in academia. It's not really the professor's fault. Goats aren't considered a large enough segment of the livestock industry to justify much research or education time. If a species isn't financially significant, it doesn't receive research dollars. Now, it's been a while since I was in college, and maybe goats get more attention now. I hope so. Sheep are grazers. Goats are browsers. That's not strict. Goats will graze and sheep will browse, but those aren't their preferences. Sheep tend to stick together. Goats test boundaries. Sheep tolerate mediocre fence. Goats expose it. Sheep tend to stay in one place longer. Goats are always on the move. Nutritionally, goats are actually much closer to cattle than they are to sheep, which surprises a lot of people, but ended up being a huge advantage for me having a background in cattle. Goats are curious, athletic, and independent. They check out anything that's even slightly interesting, and some of those things are dangerous. Once I embraced that goats are unique and really not like sheep, a lot of things started to make more sense. Number 2, goats will not eat anything. The second thing I really wish I had understood before getting goats is this idea that goats will eat anything. That myth is everywhere. You hear that goats will clear your land, clean up your weeds, eat brush, thistles, trash trees, whatever you point them at. And while there's some truth in that, it sets people up for disappointment really fast. Goats are not garbage disposals. They are actually very selective eaters. They are browsers, which means they like variety and they like to choose what they eat. They sample a lot of things, but sampling is not the same as consuming. A lot of times people will say, well, my goats didn't eat what I thought they would, or they won't touch this brush, or they're picky. What's usually happening is that the goats are being expected to eat something that isn't very palatable to them, especially if they have other options. Hunger will change behavior, but that doesn't mean it's good management. If goats are eating things because they're hungry enough, that usually means stocking rate, rotation, supplementation, or minerals are off somewhere. However, there is some strategy in pushing goats to eating some things that wouldn't be their first preference, but you have to be very careful and smart about it. Another problem with this myth is that it can actually be dangerous. Assuming goats will just eat whatever is in front of them leads people to turn goats into areas with toxic plants or to assume goats will avoid things that can hurt them. Goats are curious, and curiosity doesn't always come with good judgment. In my experience, though, goats do have an incredible amount of nutritional wisdom, and we see our goats regularly avoid plants that would be harmful to them while consuming plants that experts say are toxic for goats, and they're just fine eating them. This myth also leads people to overestimate how fast goats will fix a piece of ground. Goats can be a great tool, but they're not a magic solution. They don't replace planning, rotation, or realistic expectations. Another twist to this is that some plants are palatable to goats during one season, like spring, and become very unpalatable later in the season. Sometimes that works the other way around. That's valuable knowledge when planning grazing. If there's something you want to target, make sure you're targeting it when it's palatable. If there's something you want to preserve, graze that area when it's less appealing to goats. A more accurate statement is that goats will eat many things cattle and sheep won't, and that's what makes them a valuable tool when they're managed intentionally. Number 3, fence is not a detail, it's the system. Fence is not just one part of goat ownership. Fence is the system. If your fence isn't right, nothing else works well. Goats don't respect fence the way cattle do. They don't learn it once and move on. They test it constantly, especially young goats. Electric-only fencing can work, but it's not very forgiving for beginners, and it's not just goats that cause problems with electric fence. We've had wildlife knock connectors loose, prairie dogs chew through linkage cables, and rabbits nibble on fence wires. There are lots of ways electric fence can fail, and you need a safe place to put your goats when it does. I wish I had understood earlier that the minimum acceptable fencing for goats includes a solid, goat-proof, predator-proof enclosure, a place to contain them while you fix what's not working with electric. That one piece of infrastructure relieves so much pressure and buys you time when problems arise. The fourth thing I wish I had known has more to do with nutrition than infrastructure. Number 4, minerals are not optional. Minerals are not optional for goats. Goats have higher mineral demands than many people expect, and a lot of health issues show up when those needs aren't being met consistently. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people feeding mineral formulated for sheep. Sheep mineral has insufficient copper for goats, and over time, that will cause problems. Find a good goat mineral and make sure your goats have access to it. Another issue is treating free choice mineral like a set it once and forget it situation. Minerals need to be available, protected from the weather, and actually consumed. Getting minerals right won't fix everything, but getting them wrong will cause problems you can't medicate your way out of. I've done a full episode on goat mineral requirements, and I'll link that in the show notes if you want to go deeper. And finally, number 5, bottle babies are not beginner goats. This is one that tends to pull people in emotionally. Bottle babies are adorable. I understand the appeal. But bottle babies are not beginner goats. They come with higher death loss, more management demands, and often long-term behavior issues if boundaries aren't handled carefully. Bottle kids are hard to raise. It's easy to make mistakes like overfeeding, and those mistakes can be deadly. If you're going to raise bottle kids, check out the episode I've linked in the show notes and go into it preparing for a learning experience. Bottle-raised goats don't behave the same way goats raised in a herd do. They don't respect space the same way, and that can become dangerous, especially with bucks. If someone wants companionship or a pet, that's a different conversation. But if the goal is learning to raise goats well, bottle babies make the learning curve steeper, not easier. It really is trial by fire goat raising. You'll learn a lot, but you'll learn it the hard way. If you're thinking about getting goats or reevaluating the ones you already have, I hope this episode helps you slow down and make decisions that actually serve your long-term goals. Goats can be a great addition when they're managed intentionally. They're a hard lesson when they're not. I've listed related episodes in the show notes if you want to go deeper. And if you have questions, you can email me, Millie, Millie, at drycreekpastures.com, or come on over to the free community at getgoatwise.com/community and start a conversation. See you next week. Hey there. Thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.